Hello everyone, my name is Alan, I'm from Sauber-Lab, and today we'll talk a little bit about storage. Why it's important to talk about storage? Because storage is the main thing for your server. According from the type of storage that you decide to go on, you're gonna decide what type of server that you're gonna build and what kind of CPU and everything that you're gonna do. As well, I have some examples that I will show. You need to see what's the best option and the property for each one. So if you want to know a little bit more about it, don't forget to leave your like. If you don't like this video after, you can decide to change for dislike. Subscribe for the channel, this will be wonderful. And let's go to it. Before we start to explain any hard drive and which type of hard drive that it's more suited for your need, we're gonna go for the table where I'm gonna explain a little bit more for the failure. In this graph have the first period where it's quite high the chance of failure. This one it's because some error in manufacturing or something that it's not done properly with bad components or something else that it's not done properly in this start. So the risk of failure is quite high. Normally the manufacturer makes some tests to try to guarantee that this one will not go to the customer, but basically the start of the hard drive it's always a risk to failure. After this one, after a period of time, you go for observation of a continuous rate failure, where it's really low compared for initial failure, that is the early one. This one is the life cycle of the components, where it's normally reduced risk of failure but exists, and this one will be covered for the manufacturer warranty. Depending on which kind of hard drive that you decide to go, it will have 1 year, 3 years, 5 years of warranty. After past this time where they are supposed to last, then it starts to increase the risk of failure. I don't say that one hard drive that is rated for only 2 years or 3 years should only last 3 or 3 years, can last much more, depending on your usage and how the components behave. This is that is interesting to monitor it all the time. Have this one in mind, then I will start to explain what kind of hard drives. First, I will explain the hard drives that you can find in a computer, the normal SATA ones. If you go for a SATA hard drive, you have the normal desktop hard drive, whereas the hard drive 3.5, and the connection for the hard drive is this one. I don't know if you can see here. It's have the gap here in between them. And this one, it's the normal SATA, where the normal transmit 6 GB, depend of the age. Look like this one, it's rate only for 3. It's a little bit old, but it's the normal one. This one, it's the cheapest option that you can find because it's desktop hard drive. They're not rating for a long time because they are not made to run 24 hours per day, 7 days a week. It means that they are made to be idle for a long periods of time when you're not using the computer or you don't need to read and write some information, these hard drives. The same type of SAT you can find in the version of 2.5 inch SAT as well, where it's common to find in a laptop. Normally they don't have a high capacity, these ones, and they are not rated for stay long periods of time. As well, they're not so prepared for high temperature or vibration because they are only holding this bottom one. For the SATA as well, you have the option for SSD. This one it's the size 2.5. Normally the SSD is 2.5. If you open this case, it's a little bit smaller. They don't need to use all the case. As well, connect for 2.5, and they have connection for 6 GB per second. Normally they rate for 500 megabytes or reading this kind of SSD. These ones, it's the normal users ones. Don't mean that you can build your server only with those or only with a normal hard drive. If you want to build your server and you want to run 24 hours a day, 7 days a week and a little bit more, you have the option for the Nas Hard Drives. The same connection, SATA connection, if you can see, the same connection, SATA connection, and this one's a little bit more robust. They are made for run 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, and they are, in this case, is WD red. Why they are more robust? First thing, it's the size of them. If I put the hard drive for NAS server and I put a normal desktop hard drive, if you look, they are really big. The size will be exactly the same, it's 3.5, but the thickness is bigger. As well, inside these ones, they are more robust with more heatsink and they are made to stay 8, 12 hard drive vibrating at the same time, because it's a hard drive and inside have some disks where they'll vibrate with the time. Have in mind all these options that you can go for a desktop, you have as well now the server options. The first one that I'm gonna show, it's the 2.5 server hard drives. That's a SAS connection. This one, they are a little bit different. If you look for the connection for the SATA, they don't have that gap where they will connect a little bit different way. These ones normally they are made more robust. They are made for a long period of time, and they normally have a warranty for 5 years. Other option for server perspective, you can have the SAS 3.5 as well. Exactly the same connection for the SAS connection, but the difference that they are 3.5. What's the difference for this one? Is the speed. This one's not high capacity, they have only 600 gigabytes, but they run with 15K5. This high speed of rotation creates the possibility to locate the files fast, therefore the latency will be low and the speed of reading will be high. As well, you can have the same option for SAS as well, but with more high capacity. One of those is a Seagate Constellation, where they have a 2 terabyte, 3, 4 and continue. Only the difference that the rotation is a little bit smaller from this one. It means that if you want to increase and find one hard drive with high rotation, and therefore will be more fast reading and writing, they will normally have low capacity. If you want a hard drive that have a high capacity, you're gonna have a low reading writes. Basically, we cover the two options that you can have: SAS connection and SATA connection. As well, you can have a normal hard drive or SSD. But now, why I gonna choose a SSD instead a hard drive? Both, it's basically the same size, same connection. Why I gonna get the SSD? The possibility low latency, and as well it's high speeds of reading and writes compared for a hard drive. The hard drive have a high latency because they need to locate the data exactly in that point of the disk, and this one, because it's solid state, they can random check the data really fast compare each other. As well, why decide for a SAS option compared for a SATA option? It's simple. If you're gonna go for a server, it's better to have a SAS. But a SAS option, you need to have a SAS controller, where you can create a RAID option hardware. If you go for a SATA option, normally you're gonna create the RAID in a software. The hard drive, I really suggest all the time that you're gonna buy one, get a new one. Don't get a used one, because these ones, after 5 years, the chance of fail is quite high. So depend how important is your data. If you're gonna hold some pictures and you're never able to get these pictures back, don't leave in an old hard drive that you don't know how long will last. And then I told about RAID. What is RAID? RAID, it's the way that you're gonna configure your hard drives. Imagine that you have 4 hard drives of those and you want to connect each other. You have a few options that you can choose, either for software, either for hardware. But for do the hardware, you need to have a RAID card. Sometimes it's not necessary because the software will be able to handle it quite well. If you go for the RAID option, you can have a few types of RAID. The first one that I'm gonna explain, it's RAID 0 or RAID strip, where you can have the data's continue. Basically, we'll have start to read data 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Will be exactly the same data. And that's if you have 2 hard drives of 4 terabytes, they will make 1 hard drive of 8 where you can find it. What's the problem for it? If you lose one of the hard drives, you lose all your data. Then we go to RAID 1 or mirror, where the data is mirror between the both hard drives. It means that if you write information A1 here, they will write information A1 in the other side. And if you lose one of the hard drives, you still have all the information for the other hard drive. Then the next option that we're gonna talk is about the RAID 5. It means that you need to have at least 3 hard drives. In this case it's 4, but the minimum that you should have is 3 hard drives, where they will get information A1, A2 and 3 and will create a parity in the next hard drive. And gone, B1, B2, parity, B3. And all the data will be shared between these 4 hard drives or 3 hard drives. Where if you lose one of the hard drives, these parities that you create, you can recover the data that you lose. It means that you have the chance of failing one hard drive. It means that if you have 4 hard drives of 4 terabytes each, you're gonna have an end capacity of 12 terabytes, and the last 4 terabytes only dedicated for parity. The next option will be the RAID 6, where it's necessary at least 4 hard drives, in this case it's 5, but it's minimal 4 hard drives, where these 2 hard drives will work as a parity. It means that if you lose 2 hard drives of the same rate, you're gonna still be able to keep your data. But in the case that you have 4 hard drives of 4 terabytes, you're gonna end up only with 8 terabytes of usable storage. RAID is not the only option that you can have to merge 2 hard drives and have some parity that you can lose 1 hard drive. You have other options. After you decide which option that you go, if you go for a SATA option, where you can find most of desktops, it means that if you want to use an old desktop to do your server, or you need to purchase a RAID card that it's not so interesting compared for the price, or if you go for a server option, normally you go right for a SAS option. I hope that became clear what kind of hard drive that you can have and which options that you can choose. These options depend on your budget and what's your endpoint that you need to go. It's really important to decide what kind of storage that you go after you start purchasing any other component. Because if you go for a SAS, you need to get some other hard drives compared for a SATA that's not necessarily. I hope that you like this video. If you like this video, leave your like. If you don't like, leave your dislike. So subscribe for this channel and see you next video. Bye.